Hey friends, welcome back to PopFlix Recap. Today we're diving into a powerful and emotional war film from Russia, based on a true story, Soldier Boy, the tale of the youngest warrior of World War II. This film follows a 6-year-old orphan who ends up becoming a real-life hero during the bloodiest war in history. So let's get started. The movie kicks off in the Russian countryside, peaceful, quiet, and beautiful. A small family of 3 is sitting near a river, just enjoying the moment. Among them is Sergei Alyashkov, a curious and energetic 6-year-old. He's busy bragging to his elder brother and mom about how he climbed to the top of a tree. Typical kid moment, right? But then, out of nowhere, German fighter jets roar through the sky. The tension flips in seconds. Sergei's mother panics and tells the kids to hide in the bushes. But little Sergei? Oh no, he's got courage in his veins. He boldly pulls out his slingshot and aims it at the jets, claiming he's not afraid. And here comes a wild twist. He actually hits one. The jet explodes. Boom. Just as you're trying to process that, he suddenly looks around and his family is gone. It was all a dream. Sergei wakes up, frightened and sweating. He immediately calls out for his mother. There's a knock on the door. Thinking it might be her, he runs to open it. But it's not her. Instead, it's a panicked neighbor woman. She's relieved to see Sergei alive. But what she says next breaks your heart. She tells Sergei that his mother and brother are dead. But Sergei is just a little boy. He can't understand what's happening. He insists he'll wait right there for his mom to come back. He believes this is all just temporary. The woman tries to explain that the Germans have attacked and he needs to run to save himself. Soldiers storm Sergei's house. His mother, desperate to save him, quickly pushes him out through the window. But before she can escape with him, she's shot. And now, this tiny 6-year-old boy is completely alone. No parents, no family, no one. Sergei runs as fast as his little legs can carry him. Behind him, flames engulf his home, his neighborhood, everything he's ever known. He's shouting for his mother, hoping against hope that she'll answer, but silence. Only smoke and fire. He keeps running and finds himself in the woods. Completely lost, scared, and alone, he calls out to his mother again. It's heartbreaking. That night, he sleeps in the jungle. The next morning, thirsty and weak, he drinks from a river. But danger's never far. Enemy soldiers appear nearby. Sergei instantly hides, tucking himself between the roots of a tree. And then a snake slithers near him. A snake. But Sergei doesn't flinch. He's so scared of the soldiers, he'd rather face the snake. That's how deep his fear goes. The soldiers sit by the river, eat their food, and eventually leave. Only then does Sergei crawl out and eat their leftovers, just to survive. By the end of the day, he's completely drained. No real food in 2 days, walking endlessly with no direction. He limps, falls, but refuses to give up. He finds some wild berries and eats them, but boom, an explosion behind him. He's dazed, dizzy, and even starts to hallucinate someone following him. Even in this terrifying moment, this brave little boy stands tall and warns the shadow behind him. I've got a rifle. I'm not scared. Though he clearly is. He keeps going until his body gives up and he collapses unconscious. Cut to the Russian army base. Commander Kuznetsov is waiting for his patrol soldiers to return. And they do, with little Sergei in their arms, injured, weak, but alive. At first, Sergei doesn't trust them, but once the soldiers tell him they're on his side, he opens up. The boy even introduces himself to the commander with a little handshake, like a gentleman. The soldiers can't help but smile. They instantly fall in love with the kid. They feed him, give him water, and even the cold, strict commander shows a softer side. A kind nurse named Katya treats Sergei's wounds, and Sergei, still full of spirit, asks her to draw a tank on his belly. He says he wants to be a soldier one day. The little guy already sees himself as one. The other wounded soldiers find joy in talking to him. His presence lifts their spirits. He's fascinated with the commander's gun and badge, and the commander humors him, answering every question, even letting him hold his pistol, with no bullets, of course. Sergei proudly shows off the tank drawn on his belly, calling himself a soldier. He's healing fast, physically and emotionally. Nurse Katya pleads with the commander to let Sergei stay with the battalion, but the commander refuses. He believes it's too dangerous and wants to send the boy to an orphanage. But honestly, the soldiers are already attached. They bring him food, let him play with their binoculars. Everyone wants to spend time with him. Sergei, the little soldier without a rifle, is now surrounded by grown men who've made war their life. And yet, this tiny boy becomes their light in the darkest of times. One day, one of the soldiers musters up the courage to go straight to the commander. And why? Because the entire battalion has grown super close to little Sergei. This kid has somehow managed to lighten the heavy, grim vibe of war. The soldiers see him as one of their own, almost like a little brother, or even a son. But here's the catch. The commander? Not so easily convinced. He insists that Sergei must be sent to an orphanage. His reasoning is fair. It's for the boy's safety. War is no place for a child, after all. The very next day, as if to prove the point, there's a sudden enemy attack. Chaos erupts, soldiers are injured, and in the middle of it all, a vehicle shows up to take Sergei away. The time has come. The commander breaks the news to Sergei, and to soften the blow, he gives the boy a wooden honorary pistol, a gesture of respect. But what Sergei does next completely shatters the man's tough exterior. He hugs the commander and says he's worried about him. That hits hard. You can literally feel the man's walls crumbling. And just like that, boom, change of heart. The commander decides to keep Sergei with them and even tells him he'll stay as his son. The mood in the camp does a total 180. The soldiers are ecstatic. That night, they're running around looking for mini soldier clothes. Can you imagine these tough, war-hardened men excitedly dressing up a kid like it's Christmas morning? The commander himself wakes Sergei up, hands him the clothes, and Sergei? He puts them on and dashes around like a tiny, proud soldier. It's so pure. Everyone starts calling him our little soldier boy. When the battalion comes under an air attack from the Germans. As the chaos unfolds, Sergei is rushed to safety with the other soldiers. Amidst the fighting and chaos, the number of wounded soldiers begins to rise quickly. Sergei, feeling the urge to help, takes it upon himself to bring water to the injured soldiers. One soldier, whose eyes are covered with a bandage, asks Sergei to read him a letter from his family. However, Sergei can't read, so he starts making up a story, claiming the soldier's cow is safe at home. The soldier laughs and tells Sergei he doesn't have a cow, but the other soldiers urge him to go along with the lie, finding humor in it. Sergei continues to read everyone's letters in the same made-up fashion, lifting the spirits of his fellow soldiers, even if it's all just fantasy. Meanwhile, Katya and the commander share a quiet conversation, and there's an undeniable tension between them. Though they clearly feel an attraction, neither is brave enough to confess their feelings. Later, Sergei begins to introduce himself as the orderly of the battalion, a small but significant role. But things take a somber turn when Sergei witnesses one of the soldiers' stations destroyed by the attack. The commander, noticing the boy's reaction, teaches him a valuable lesson: how to show respect for the dead by taking his hat off. It's a moment that marks Sergei's growing understanding of the gravity of war. So the next morning, little Sergei is all fired up and demands a mission from the commander. And guess what? The commander actually gives him one. He's tasked with delivering letters to the soldiers. But Sergei, being Sergei, doesn't just hand them out. He goes above and beyond, completing his task like a pro and even getting the soldiers to dance for him. Yep, a 6-year-old boosting army morale. Legendary stuff. The very next day, Sergei takes a little walk away from base with a pair of binoculars, just being curious like kids are. While playing around, he suddenly notices something strange, a leg twitching inside a haystack. That would freak anyone out, right? So he rushes back to the base and alerts the soldiers. At first, they think it's just a boy being over-imaginative. But they still decide to check it out, and it turns out Sergei was dead right. They find 2 German spies hiding inside the haystack. The soldiers quickly arrest them, and Sergei becomes a hero in their eyes. This kid's instincts are just off the charts. That night, the commander does something truly heartwarming. He shows Sergei the adoption papers. Yep, it's official now. Sergei is his son. You can feel the emotional bond forming stronger than ever. And Sergei? He knows the commander secretly loves Katya. So to return the favor, he takes him to confess his feelings to her. But fate plays a cruel trick. They spot Katya talking to another man and instantly assume she's into someone else. Talk about bad timing and wrong assumptions. But there's no time for drama. Because bam! The German forces attack the base again. This time, Sergei doesn't just watch from the sidelines. He jumps in to help, delivering ammo to soldiers at the front lines. But the soldiers, worried about his safety, send him back to the shed. Once inside, he finds the commander and others in panic mode. The phone line to the colonel is down and they can't call for backup. A soldier is sent to fix it, but Sergei follows him and finds the man gravely injured. And here's the wild part. This tiny kid, only 6 years old, asks the dying soldier how to fix the wires and then actually does it himself. Thanks to Sergei, communication is restored and reinforcements arrive just in time. This boy literally saves the entire base. Just let that sink in. Later, in a quiet moment by the river, the commander finally pours his heart out to Katya. He tells her he loves her and asks her to become Sergei's mother. She's touched, clearly overjoyed. But just as she's about to respond, a soldier arrives with urgent news. They've been ordered to move out. The next day, everyone, including Sergei, packs up and leaves for the new base. But their journey takes a dark turn when they unknowingly enter a minefield. There's an explosion. Some vehicles are blown up, the commander gets hurt, and even worse, the group's orderly, someone Sergei was really close to, dies in the blast. Sergei breaks down, hugging the commander as the weight of it all hits him. After a long and emotional journey, Sergei and the commander finally make it to the next military base. There, they meet a high-ranking officer, the general himself. And guess what? Even the general is impressed by this tiny soldier's big heart. He praises Sergei and congratulates the commander for having such a smart and brave kid by his side. The very next day, something truly special happens. Their whole division is honored with the Guard's Banner, a prestigious award. And yes, Sergei gets one too. The general personally gives him a badge, and Sergei proudly promises that he'll keep fighting to protect his country. That little boy, once lost and alone, is now standing tall among heroes. But war doesn't rest. That night, their base is suddenly attacked. It's brutal. Explosions everywhere. In the chaos, the commander gets trapped under a pile of debris. Sergei runs to him, shouting "Papa" over and over. His voice is filled with panic, but he doesn't give up. He calls for help, and with the other soldiers, he manages to pull the commander out of the wreckage. The next day, Sergei goes to see the injured commander. His own hands are bandaged. He got hurt trying to save the man who became like a father to him. At this point, it's clear. Sergei isn't just some kid tagging along anymore. He's one of them, a real part of the team. He has no family outside of the soldiers now. Wherever they go, he goes too. And then the final scene. We see the regiment moving out again, marching to yet another base. But this time there's something different. There's a voice in the background, narrating Sergei's journey. It tells us that this little boy, yes, Sergei Oleshkov, fought in one of the deadliest battles in history, Stalingrad, and even made it all the way to Poland with the troops. He's not just a soldier, he's a legend. The story ends by telling us that Sergei is now known as the youngest soldier in the world, and his incredible bravery has inspired people everywhere. And that's the story of Soldier Boy, a tale of unimaginable courage, loyalty, and heart. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notifications, and leave a like. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching.